Morning, sisters. I have not been back into the Psalm 68. We're starting at verse 20. I haven't been in to do that recap for myself so I can come in and do the study on it for you. I was, however, looking at some passages in Revelation, and it began because I was looking at the witness in there. The witness says, but I think it's a witness of the Holy Spirit or the Holy One, is what I think. But what I actually was looking at was the trampling, and it's funny how it took me. Is it still going here? It is. Okay, so here it is. We'll begin in Revelation. So this will just be a quick video, I hope. So it is found in Revelation, right there, 11, verse 2. It says, okay, I'll begin at, let me see here, verse 1. Then I was given a measuring rod like a staff, and was told, go and measure the temple of God and the altar, and count the number of the worshippers there. 2, but exclude the courtyard, right? Outside the temple. Do not measure it, because it has been given over to the nations, and they will trample the holy city for 42 months. So what does that mean? And I will empower my 2 witnesses, and they will prophesy for 1260 days, clothed in sackcloth. That doesn't really add up to the Old Testament, what we've understood. If you want to look at 2 witnesses, you can look at mother and daughter as the ones that are actually supposed to be the light of the nations. Currently today, they are not. Man himself is the light of the nations, exalting the harlot in his heart. That'll hand over her host to him so he can play God. That's what we've basically understood. If you have issues with my studies, and they're obviously not for you, I would suggest you go somewhere else. There's this one particular one who's been making a lot of comments telling me I don't know what I'm talking about, have no understanding of anything. Well, go make your own channel. This is not for you, dear. Just go away. And I'll warn you, I think you know who you are. If you leave, continue to leave the comments that you've been leaving. I'm going to flag you, so you won't be able to leave any. So just a warning. It's more or less to protect the women who are honestly seeking the truth through the scriptures and piecing the little thread of truth that is allegorized as the little book held in the 7th trumpet's hand, which is the daughter of Israel herself taking back her birthright, which man stole from her. Now that's what we basically have come to understand. And so here we get this word trample. This is what we're going to look at, Revelation 11:2. But exclude the outer court. Do not measure it. This actually takes us to the idea that's rendered in Zechariah chapter 4, is what it's actually taking us back to. Because it has been given to the Gentiles. They will trample, they who? The Gentiles will trample on the holy city for 42 months. Now this is important. We've got to identify who the holy city is. So, first of all, let's go in and pull up the word trample so we can get a better understanding of what is actually meant by trample. And generally, we know what trampling means, right? We do. So, aside from that, what else is this meaning? Where is it? Okay, so it's down here. And they will trample. So the word we're going to look at is 3961, Strong's Greek. Trample under, foot, treads, trodden. So let's go down into the notes here. To tread, to trample, crush with the foot. To advance by setting foot upon, tread upon. To encounter successfully the greatest perils from the machinations, the imaginations of those wicked boys' heart playing God, and persecutions with which Satan would fain thwart the preaching of not the gospel, the truth of the Holy One, the Anointed One. They turned on her. In the Old Testament, we see Sennacherib being one of them that did this. We see King Solomon, really with the number 666, which I believe came from the melted down statue. I've said this in videos before, that Nebuchadnezzar actually made. And it came to King Solomon in the amount of 666 is the weight that it came to him in. With that weight of that gold that came to him, and I think it was gold, he used that to build further the beast kingdom, allegorized as the key of Solomon, rejecting the key of David, which was the wise women that flowed from the north kingdom with the law of God. Man rejected that. We see King Solomon actually linked to the number 666 one time in the Old Testament, and it was him that further built up this beast system. He took, 600, 700 wives? No, that's quite a few for one man. You're supposed to have one. And 200 or 300 concubines. It was the building of the beast system of man being worshipped as God, which is the idol that Nebuchadnezzar was building upon or began to build. And you see it in Daniel too as a figure of a man, and then they still want to move out one man for another. Well, sorry, boys, that's just not working. It's the idol of man as God, and they just got this in their head. And she promised in the beginning, she said, when you do this, when you create these idols to bow down to and worship like your God, and you remove the law from me, the anointed one chosen by wisdom to be the lawgiver, and you remove that right from me. We saw Adam the accuser do it. Another name for Adam the accuser is Satan. Beelzebub, another name for your husband, bridegroom, standing as your Lord and your master, so he can write the laws and yoke this true nation of Israel, which was the daughter, the woman's seed, women. So what we see is the accuser taking this right to write the law from, so it becomes the antinomian. The antichristinomian means law, anti means to be against, and so they were against her law, and they put in play this religious law and idol of a man. I was heading somewhere on that. Okay, so now, see, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, so what does it mean that he would thwart the preaching of the true gospel, the truth, the anointed one? It's not the gospel, it's the truth. It was the truth from her, off of her tongue. And so we saw many, many men going against her as if they were beasts, right? To tread underfoot, trample on, treat with insult and contempt. And they do. They treat womankind with insult and contempt, especially in these man-made written scriptures, that we are actually told that they did so add and add and add and add upon the truth, which was that she was given covenant to man. Job says, I made a covenant with mine eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid? For what portion of God is there from above? The Spirit is a portion that comes from above to give you the law of heaven. She was also allegorized as an angel standing on earth. So it was the presence, the angel of God's presence. She was also known as God upon this earth, and you were to hearken to her law, and man pierced her in, trampled upon her. So here we get to tread underfoot, from a derivative probably of peo, meaning a path to trample, to tread down underfoot. Now when we hit, it says probably of peo, so let's hit on that and see what it takes us to. To strike, to smite, to sting. Okay, we're getting somewhere now. Hit, stings, to strike the judge of Israel upon the cheek. They silenced her upon the hills of Israel. They did. They took her in captivity. To sting, to strike or wound with a sting. What's a sting? Poison. They poisoned her doctrine, is what they did. Her truth, her law. That's what they did when they built the idol of a man up as God. Smite, strike, a primary verb, to hit, as if by a single blow, and less violently than tupto, especially to sting as a scorpion. So scorpion's poisonous. So they did strike her heel, and she did so stumble, according to Romans. So this word trample is very important because we've identified the holy city. So when we go into Romans 11 and we look the word stupor up, she gave unto them the spirit of stupor after she got struck on the heel. It's allegorized as her going to sleep. It's also allegorized as what wine will do to you. They put strong drink to her lips and caused her to go to sleep so they could expose her nakedness, cause her to play their harlot and bow to them and their religious lies and law system, making her their harlot, in fact, and building this male idol up that you see in Daniel 2, that eventually the true holy nation here that you find in Revelations 11 that is handed over to the Gentiles, this holy city. So what does it say in Romans 11? It says, what then? Was seeking. It failed to obtain, but the elect did. So what was the elect? The elect is the holy city, the daughters, allegorized as the elect ones, pulled out from the Gentile nations. So, as it is written, God gave them a spirit of stupor, eyes that could not see and ears that could not hear to this day, until she chooses to wake them up through grace, through allowing them to achieve the truth. Grace isn't attained through bloodshed of a man on the cross saying, I travail to bring forth my firstborn daughters. Yeah, that don't make sense. And I wash that wicked woman, that wicked wife of man who who cheated on me in blood because I just love her so bloody much. Yeah. Does that reason? Well, it reasons to a man, which is what I was speaking on, where she says, fine, if you want to build on this idol, I promise you in the end, you will be so built up on man-made pride and arrogance in your own man-made idols that you will not be able to turn from the lie to the truth. I promise you that. And then I will be legal to cut you away. I will. And so she promises them that, which is in what she says, depart from me, all you workers of iniquity. I never knew you. You never followed my way. You made an idol and you bowed to him and you took away my daughter's rights and their rightful place and authority in this world. And you are a thief and a liar from the beginning. You are a beast. You are found to be operating in a beast system. Now, of course, it's going to be difficult here. I knew it was gonna. It's not giving me my interlinear on Romans. So let's pull it up again and see if we can bring it. I had a feeling it was going to do this. So back down. So again, in Romans 11, we get, let me see here. What was the answer of God in Romans 11:4? But what saith the answer of God unto him or her, unto her? I have reserved to myself 7,000, not men, women, who is going to make up the holy city that was trampled upon out in the Gentiles, who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal, another name for Adam, the accuser, Satan, Beelzebub, husband, bridegroom, Lord and master. He's standing in the land now as if he's God, creator and maker of all things, and denied the power of the Holy One, of the maker, of the potter, of the creator, mother. Yeah. So 7,000 of us, according to this, have not bowed to the image of Baal, husband, as bridegroom, as Lord and master, right? Okay, so for a second here, I'm going to just go here. What was it I wanted to look up? First in Revelation of the... Okay, so we're going to read this because it connects to this 7,000 who have not bowed their knee to the image. So let's go back because it's telling me it's in the exact same chapter. So we will go here. So again, remember that word to trample upon actually leads us to strike and to smite. So it takes us to the word stupor in Romans 11. Now, what? God says, I have 7,000 that I have reserved to myself that have not bowed their knee to the image of bridegroom as God. I will remove the name of tongue. And master, he never was. Mother wisdom is. And you see, they're doing it again. They just will not let me have my whole interlinear here. All right. That's fine. I got my Bible, so we'll go there if we have to. Okay. So down in verse 13, what does it say? And the same hour was there a great earthquake, and a 10th part of the city fell. And in the earthquake were slain of the women who hadn't bowed their knee to the image of bridegroom. Jesus is your bridegroom. As Lord and Master, where is that currently taking place, this religion? Out amongst the Gentiles, which is where we find the holy city. These women are allegorized as a holy city out amongst the Gentiles being trampled upon. So what does it say? In the same hour was there a great earthquake, and a 10th part of the city fell, and in the earthquake were slain of women 7,000. There's your 7,000 witnesses who are called up. That's right. Come up hither. God says, because why? Because they didn't bow their knee to the image of Baal, husband, bridegroom, Lord and Master. And the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the God of heaven. Just the remainder who understood these things. So that was the second woe, according to this. The third woe, the mystery gets revealed. So it's going to take some battling here of bringing on some horrible storms, some horrible earthquakes and tornadoes and whatever you can think of, volcanic eruptions, to open their eyes to the truth that they are in idol worship. They are in violation of law number 1, commandment number 1 from the Holy One. And you're bowing down to a male idol. You were to bow to no idol. You were to bow actually to the creator of this entire creation, which is called your creator, your potter, your maker, your mother, which is also allegorized to wisdom. So you were actually to uphold wisdom, right? And now you're just upholding foolishness and calling it wisdom, which comes from man. He's God. So she promised him, you do all of this, and I promise you will be so built up on pride in the end, you will not be able to come away from it. You will not. But here we have the same 7,000 up here in Romans 11, right? Verse 4, that did not, 7,000 who had not bowed their knee to the image of Baal. So this is so prophecy for the end time, not bowing to husband, bridegroom as Lord and Master. Oh, Jesus is coming to save us. That's the pride of man. That's the pride of man. She promised them, if you build these male idols up, you're not going to be able to come away from them because you're going to have so much pride in the end. But it's not going to stop my judgment. It's not. It's actually going to bring it on. And you can see it. You can see it in the storms. So Romans 11:4, but what saith the answer of God unto her? I have reserved to myself 7,000 women who have not bowed to the image of Baal. Now, Baal is the topic that we've been discussing so much on this channel. And then when we go in to the word stupor here, see, it still is not allowing me. Oh, don't that make me mad? It's doing it on purpose, and don't tell me it ain't. Just to complicate this, Romans 11. Okay. Again, let's try it and see if it'll act. And I ain't got that many tabs up. That's what makes me so mad. So we're looking at the word stupor. What's stupor? According as it is written, God has given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they could not see unto this day. Now, some of the translation says stupor, right? A spirit of stupor. So after he violently strikes her with the poison on her heel and causes the seed of Israel, the woman's seed of Israel, to stumble into this false religion, she is then handed over as the holy city to the Gentiles to trample under upon in this religious lie and law system. So there we go. We finally got interlinear. So when we go to stupor, it's 2659 Strong's Greek. It's slow. Deep sleep, torpor, insensibility, stupor. It's a feminine noun. It's feminine for a reason. It is the women that must awaken. Properly, a violent strike, a prick. There you go. There's the stupor of sleep. Figuratively, the bewilderment, which comes after being struck, like falling into a mental stupor. This is the same as the trample upon the holy city. They trampled upon the daughters. Right? Deep sleep, dizziness, reeling. He put strong drink to her lips. That's the admixture of wine in the cup, which is also allegorized as the Red Sea, an admixture of religious lies and laws, that the presence of God, also the angel of the presence of God, she, the Holy One, that must part the admixture of lies to birth, it's a birthing canal, to birth her children out through, because she is the only one who can do it. Man does not birth children. Why now do I see every man standing around with his hands on his hips as if he can give life? He can't. She alone does this. The children have come to the birth, she says, after they blasphemed her holy name. The children have come to the birth, and there is not strength to deliver. Why? Because the women were going to sleep in a religious lie and law, as this idol in Daniel 2 that every successive kingdom and false king and ruler built upon, saying man was God. Now, when we go to Psalm 83, what does it say? What were the kings saying? What were they saying in Psalm 83? Come, they say, let us destroy them as a nation, so that Israel's name is remembered no more. That's the holy city of daughters that were cast out to be trampled upon. That's right, by the Gentiles, which have done so through this religious lie. Now you can say, well, there's a real Israel existing. That seems to be based on what happens to this, because we saw that everything on earth, it says, whatsoever ye exalt on earth, ye exalt into the heavens. So when we got studying the Chinese wall there, we actually saw that it actually lined up to a physical structure in the heavens. And that was the wall that's against the tail of Draco, the dragon. So there's this wall there, and it appears to coincide with the wall of the Chinese wall there. And we know China is allegorized as a dragon, isn't it? And there's the wall there, possibly up against the tail of Draco. So we see that there's always a correspondence. So why there's a heavenly correspondence, there's a deeper spiritual correspondence by the physical Israel existing to representative of the actual city of daughters, the woman's seed that was cast out amongst the Gentiles to actually be trampled upon for 42 months, for 3.5 years, or 3,500 years. You may be able to look at it in that way. So what did it say again in Psalm 83? What did the kings say? Come, they say, let us destroy them as a nation, the woman's seed, so that Israel's name is truly not remembered anymore. So verse 3 of Psalm 83, with cunning, Satan, man, they scheme against your people and they conspire against those you cherish. Wisdom. So here we get wisdom, or we get the daughter Zion, who is really the daughter of Israel, that the men were coming against with cunning schemes. We find them doing that in Jeremiah 23 as they began to prophesy through Baal, through man himself as God. And then they begin to use the he pronoun and saying, come, let us erase them, these women, who we're supposed to listen to their law, who came from heaven, wisdom, mother. May the name of Israel be remembered no more, for with one mind they plot together, they form an alliance against you. So this is the weave of the web of violence that you see allegorized as a spider's web in a body that can't hold together. It says the kings are in the womb of Sheol and cannot escape from it. And that's why, because they can't deliver themselves. They think they can. It's the woman and the women inside the nation of Israel that could have delivered them. And when Balaam and Balak sent in the women who had already fell to Adam's lie, these Adamic nations that surrounded the woman's seed, they sent these harlotry women, and they're called harlots because they were bound to the idol of a man, Baal, as God. And they sent in and they poisoned the men who were to be hearkening to their own right hand, which was seen as the wise women inside the nation of Israel. And so these women came in, they struck the men as well, poisoned them with a religious lie, and ideas that man did not have to listen to his other half, which was allegorized as his spirit, and the right hand. And so she says, I will take your scepter and I will cast her out amongst the Gentiles. She says, you changed your glory over to that which eateth grass, which was a bull god, also called Baal, called Apis, called many things, really. The golden calf idol comes to be the man Jesus standing, which the stone is these daughters who are appointed by the Spirit, took out of the nations to actually smash the toes, feet on that idol of man as God and bring him down, which is in Satan. You are nothing more than, is this the man that caused the nations to shake? Oh, you find that in Isaiah 14. So how do we know again Satan's just a man? Isaiah 14. He exalted himself to the Almighty throne, wisdom, our mother. That's right. When he accused the woman of playing his harlot and wanting to be his harlot, and he lied and he accused, because she certainly says, I have no idea where he's getting these bloody lies from, but they are lies. And so they steal her throne of power, actually her seat of power. Isaiah 52, come away from his religious lie and law system, dear daughter, and take back your throne. And says to the harlot Babylon, your wisdom, it has perverted thee. These bowing daughters who are truly called harlot in Mother Wisdom's eyes, who is bowing to man as if he is Lord and God and Savior, and not looking around at what is going on in the world and what man has done to her, treating her as if she is less and he is a true beast, and the whole allegory of it all. So, for with one mind they plot together, they form an alliance against you, and they prophesy through Baal, Jeremiah 23, and the wicked imaginations of their wicked hearts. Psalm 2, what did they say? The kings took counsel against her. This is what they say in Psalm 2, verse 3. Okay, I'm just about done. The kings of the earth take their stand. Oh, move. Take their stand, and the rulers, the false rulers, gathered together against the Lord and against her anointed one. That was the daughter of Zion that sat between the cherubim that Sennacherib was coming against. Let us break their chains and cast away their cords. Now, the interesting thing here is when you get chains, when you look it up, it has the idea of a vine being weaved together. So that is actually going to take us, and I'll come back to this in a minute, to Ezekiel 19. What does it say? Verse 10, thy mother, Israel, creator, maker, earth, is like a vine in thy blood, planted by the waters, the pure waters, not the admixture of lie and wine that you got drunk on by man putting it to your lips and telling you, hey, drink up, hun. We want to look at your nakedness because we can't control ourselves. Planted by the waters, she was fruitful and full of branches by reason of many waters. So these are the daughters. And she had strong daughters, rods, for the scepters of them that bear the rule, for the kings possibly, but I really think it's the daughters, because she in the end is the sovereign who is crowned, and her scepter in her hand, and her stature was exalted among the thick branches, and she appeared in her height with a multitude of her branches. This is also allegorized as wisdom in Psalm 1 and 2. I believe it may be Proverbs 1 and 2. She's called a tree, the tree of life. But she was plucked up in fury, and she was cast down to the ground. That's right. The wicked men who came against her law. So we see this word that I was driving at in Psalm 2, right? Let us break their chains and cast away their cords. So the chains was the women who was actually holding together in the truth, and they were the woman's seed. And eventually they get cast out into the lands of the Gentiles, and there they get trampled upon by the Gentiles' religious lie and law system, whereupon we see her being reborn out of the dust of the earth, and God hearing a familiar spirit. As of one who's speaking the truth of God and not drunk on wine. And this is also allegorized as a Shulamite with clean hands and a pure heart, who has not lifted her soul up to male idols, which then takes us back to the verse in Romans 11. I have reserved to myself 7,000 who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal, husband. These are my daughters. This is my rod, my branch, my scepter, my crown that I will rule through. The one enthroned in heaven laughs, and the Lord taunts them. So the kings have stood against the Holy One, and they say, let us break their chains and cast away their cords. And then the kings in Psalm 83 are found saying, hide them. Come, they say, let us wipe out Israel. As a nation, we will destroy very memory of its existence. And they did. And the women have gone along with it. They have not picked themselves up out of the dust of the earth. Some have. This is allegorized as the branch that she will rule through. But you're also witnessing to the truth when you look around with your eyes what man has done with the law of God. That was to come off of the angel of the presence, which is shown as the camp of Mahanaim, the camp of God, which you then see with the Shulamite, Mahanaim. It's a double camp. It's 144,000, which Jacob also called Mahanaim, and he wrestled with her, the presence of God, the angel of the presence of God, and he stole her birthright. So it's all there. This is the holy city that is being trampled upon out amongst the Gentiles. We also have studied Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 18. And there's a total of 5 passages. We did look at it on the channel of Ruth Abbey. We looked at these 5 passages. There might have even been 6. That all has to do with the return of the daughters back to and as the true nation of Israel, allegorized as the city here that will be trampled upon for 42 months. So it's all there. You look the word trample up and its derivatives, it leads you straight back to these women who went to sleep in the religious lie out amongst the Gentiles under the violent prick and strike. So a prickling as of the limbs asleep, by implication, perhaps by some confusion with new or even with nux, a stupor, a lethargy, a slumber. There's those who will stand, and according to what it says in Revelation, if it is to be believed, there is only 7,000 of us reserved for the end. I am pierced, I am stung, I am smitten, to prick violently. Pierce, yeah, all the way down through, deeply, thoroughly pained, emotionally pierced through, psychologically pricked, emotionally stunned. That's 2660. That's one of the words that we hit on from the prior word that we were looking at. To pierce thoroughly, to agitate violently, sting, to quick and prick. And so that also takes us back to Psalm 22, the doe of the dawn. We get 8th day dawning, we get the solemn 8th day assembly, and it is about the gathering of the holy city, identified as the woman's seed, identified as the women, coming back together away from the idol of Baal that they have not bowed their knee to. So it is all there. We don't expect the men to stop saying all praise and glory to Father and Son. We know it really gets them up on that because they're really in love with their own male images, according to the Bible. Also, that word will take us to the word desolate. She did become the desolate spirit because the abomination of desolation, as we understood, is a man inside of a man. And the harlot will say, no one sees me. I will never be widowless. I will never be childless. I'm hid in his heart, for the sake of the fact that he wants to bow to his own image, an idol of self and God. And she said, I promise when you do that, I will say, depart from me, all you workers of iniquity. I never knew you. So I'm legal to do it. The cost of your house is the price of the dying, she says. That means getting away of these get away from these wicked men. Cut them away. Let them have no part in your blessing. So there's a choice gave, but she promised them that they would be so built up on pride, just like Satan, who is nothing more than a man, in Isaiah 14, who will fall, and the world will look upon him. Oh, have you become weak like one of us? Oh, we're so weak, us women. the nations that he caused to tremble under his religious lie and law system. But when she actually stands up and takes it back, she actually cuts the wicked away and smashes the toes, brings him down off of her throne. That's right. Anyway, it's all there. So I think I've talked long enough. And sorry it ain't the final portion of the study on Sinai, which is also the desolate, leads us to the word desolate, and to her that came from Mount Sinai in Psalm 68. I know we got to start on verse 20. That's all I remember. I can't remember what it was in Isaiah. What was the chapter we subbed in? 33? I can't remember where we stopped in that on that chapter. Anyway, I'll have to take a look at it. So it does all interconnect. The men don't want to hear it. That's fine. They don't have to. God says, I gave you free will. You can choose to receive the truth, or you can continue to fall down and bow down to the lie. And in the end, it comes down to choice. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. I pray you all have a blessed day. I pray you're blessed with an abundance of truth. And thanks for watching again. And I hope you all have a lovely day.